The story begins with a young boy named Keda, who joins his father, Tom, and other villagers on a hunting trip. Their target was a herd of wild buffaloes grazing nearby. After planning carefully, Tom gave the signal, and everyone got ready to attack. The hunters moved slowly towards the buffaloes and threw their spears. The scared buffaloes started running toward a deep ditch the hunters had set as a trap. Everything was going smoothly until one buffalo turned back instead of jumping into the ditch. It charged straight toward Keda. Since this was Keda's first hunt, he didn't know how to react and froze in fear. The buffalo knocked Keda to the ground, but it didn't stop there. It turned around, picked him up with its horns, and ran toward the ditch. Tom tried to save his son and threw a spear at the buffalo, hitting it in the stomach. Even though it was injured, the buffalo jumped into the ditch, taking Keda with it. Tom and the other hunters rushed to the edge of the ditch. They saw Keda hanging onto a rock, barely holding on. Before they could do anything, Keda lost his grip and fell. Luckily, Keda didn't fall straight to the bottom. Instead, he hit a large rock and was knocked unconscious. Tom wanted to climb down and rescue his son, but the other hunters stopped him. They reminded him they needed to return to the village with food before the snow began. Tom stayed near the edge all night, calling Keda's name in the hope that he was still alive. By morning, with a heavy heart, Tom performed a farewell ritual for his son and left with the group. However, Keda was not dead. After some time, a vulture flew toward him, thinking he was easy prey, but Keda quickly pushed it away. As he looked around, he realized he was trapped on the rock with no one to help him. Scared but determined, he decided to climb down. While climbing, his foot slipped, but he held on just in time. Below, rain had filled the ditch, turning it into a river. Realizing this was his only chance to escape, Keda gathered his courage and jumped into the water. The next morning, he woke up on a riverbank. When he tried to stand, he felt a sharp pain in his foot. Taking off his shoe, he saw his foot was badly injured, likely dislocated. With no one around to help and the wilderness all around him, Keda knew he would have to fight to survive. Keda quickly supported his injured foot using 2 stones, setting the dislocated bone back in place. To strengthen his shoe, he tied a wooden stick around it. Determined to reunite with his companions, Keda began heading toward the hilltop, where he found the stones his father, Tov, had used during his rituals. The sight of them deeply saddened him. Suddenly, Keda heard growling, and upon looking around, saw a pack of wolves closing in on him. Terrified, he started running as fast as he could, but the wolves quickly caught up. Realizing he couldn't outrun them, Keda climbed a dry tree for safety. However, one wolf managed to grab his leg. Keda pulled out his knife and stabbed the wolf, causing it to fall to the ground. Injured, though the wolves stayed under the tree all night, Keda held his ground. The next morning, he noticed the wolves had left, abandoning their injured companion. Despite his fear, Keda approached the wounded wolf, intending to kill it with a spear he crafted from his knife and a stick. But when he saw its pitiful condition, he felt compassion and chose to spare its life. To protect himself, Keda tied the wolf's mouth with a rope, carried it on his shoulders, and sought shelter in a nearby cave. That night, they rested there. By morning, Keda was tending to his injury with herbs when he realized the wolf had freed itself from the rope. The wolf growled at him, baring its teeth, but Keda remained calm. Slowly, he offered the wolf water. At first, the wolf resisted, but Keda's calm behavior reassured it, and it finally drank. Keda began caring for the wolf, even removing the insects from its wound and feeding them to the wolf. They both needed food to survive, so Keda hunted a rabbit the next day. When he brought it back and tried to cook it, the wolf attempted to snatch it. However, Keda knew he had to assert dominance. To show his strength, he scared the wolf away and pretended to chew the raw rabbit himself. The wolf, intimidated, sat quietly. After cooking the rabbit, Keda shared some with the wolf, but he made it clear that the wolf needed his permission to eat. Over the next few days, Keda regained his strength and decided it was time to return home before the harsh snowfall began. Knowing the wolf belonged in the wild, he urged it to find its pack and stay behind. But as Keda started his journey, the wolf began following him at a distance. Frustrated, Keda threw a stick toward the wolf to chase it off. Instead of running away, the wolf picked up the stick and playfully ran ahead of Keda. Before Keda could make sense of the wolf's behavior, he spotted a group of wild boars nearby. The wolf immediately ran to attract them, while Keda stood frozen, holding his spear. When one of the boars ran toward him, Keda hesitated, unable to strike. The boar managed to escape, leaving Keda in shock. The wolf looked disappointed, realizing that due to Keda's mistake, they had lost their chance at food. However, over time, Keda and the wolf started working together. Keda named the wolf Alpha, marking the start of their bond. With Alpha's help, Keda learned to hunt and survive more effectively. Gradually, they began to understand each other. At night, Alpha would sleep close to Keda, keeping him warm in the freezing cold. Keda started to enjoy his companionship and survival journey, but as winter deepened, the entire landscape was covered in snow. Despite the harsh conditions, Keda and Alpha continued their journey, hunting for food to stay alive. One day, while crossing a frozen river, the ice beneath Keda's feet gave way, and he plunged into the icy water. Trapped beneath the surface, Keda struggled to find a way out. Alpha desperately tried to break the ice with his weight, but couldn't. After several attempts, Keda managed to break through the ice using his knife and, with Alpha's help, climbed out of the freezing water. The next day, Keda spotted a man sitting outside a tent and felt a surge of hope. However, as he approached, he realized the man had frozen to death. Searching the tent for food, Keda found nothing useful. Though disheartened, he remained determined to reach his family. Keda and Alpha resumed their journey but soon faced a new threat, a snowstorm approaching from one side and hunting dogs chasing them from the other. Thinking quickly, Keda led Alpha toward a nearby cave. They barely made it inside as the storm engulfed the area, leaving the dogs trapped outside. Inside the cave, Keda thought they were safe, but Alpha remained alert, staring at the cave wall. Suddenly, a black leopard appeared, attacking without warning. Alpha immediately jumped in to protect Keda, starting a fierce fight. Keda was terrified, but he realized that if he didn't act, Alpha wouldn't survive. Gathering all his courage, Keda shot an arrow at the leopard, which fell to the ground. Alpha, injured but alive, freed himself from the leopard's grasp and limped toward Keda before collapsing. Keda, seeing Alpha's condition, was determined to save the wolf who had saved his life multiple times. The next morning, they resumed their journey, with Keda carrying the wounded Alpha in his arms. After hours of walking, they came across a stone bearing his colony's mark, signaling that home was near. Despite Alpha's worsening condition, Keda refused to give up. He carried Alpha through mountains and harsh terrain, walking all night and the following day until finally, he saw his settlement in the distance. Reaching the settlement, Keda collapsed from exhaustion with Alpha in his arms. His father, Taum, was stunned to see Keda alive and immediately rushed to catch him. Keda's mother, who had lost hope of ever seeing her son again, also arrived, overcome with emotion. Though weak, Keda was thrilled to reunite with his parents. His first request, however, was to save Alpha at any cost. Soon after, Keda fainted from exhaustion. When Keda regained consciousness, he learned something surprising. Alpha had given birth to several pups. It turned out Alpha was a female wolf, and she had been pregnant throughout their journey. Despite her condition, Alpha had protected and supported Keda the entire time. Keda's admiration and love for Alpha deepened upon learning this. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.